A lot of people think that the south-facing roof is optimal for solar,
Right.
which it is technically because that's where the majority of the sun goes. But when you think about how much power you want to produce, you're just limited to that one side.
Right.
So if you have it east-west and the pitch isn't as steep,
Yep.
then you could potentially catch sun on both sides and get maybe 80% sun on both sides versus, 99
I understand.
that small.
Yeah. So there's a dance that goes on early
Exactly.
in that design.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Just Build Baby studio. You're listening to the BuildX podcast, your ultimate guide to creating exceptional homes, innovative spaces, and staying informed on all aspects of residential building technology. I'm your host, Buz Artiano. Today I'm excited to have Chris Johnson here. He's the Director of Business Development of Isaksen Solar. He has 20 plus years in sales and marketing. You are new to Isaksen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So I like to start with people and talk about how they came to where they are today. So, sometime after birth, up until now, kind of give us the Reader's Digest version of your last 20 years.
All right. Let's see. So it started a little before 20 years ago. My son's 24, but I was in a restaurant business for probably about 13 years. And it got to a point once I had kids that it was just really difficult, too many hours, too much stress. So I needed to do something that was going to allow me to have more flexible schedule.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting my insurance license, sold some life and health and disability for a few years, and then wanted to still have my flexibility of schedule, but wanted to do something different. So I got into some building maintenance stuff and janitorial supply sales, that kind of thing. I'm very active in local chambers of commerce. So I ended up meeting somebody that from Doug from Serpro, over in New Bedford, became their marketing manager, and I was with him for close to 5 years. And they needed somebody to do marketing, but they also wanted someone in sales. Wasn't thrilled about staying in sales because I didn't really want to be in that wheelhouse anymore. But I was like, all right, I'll do both. So I was still active in the chambers of commerce, still did some branding and things like that. But I was in sales with the company for about 4 years. Then I got to a certain point where I said, all right, I'm kind of done. I don't want to sell anything anymore. I've done it long enough. I went to them and they said, create a dream job and make it work. So that's what I'm doing now. I basically made myself the director of business development. So my whole thing is just being in front of people, educating people. I constantly doing trainings with builders and architects and contractors and realtors, just raising awareness, not only for Isaksen, but also for the industry as a whole to be an advocate for it.
Good. Well, thank you. That's a good update. So tell me about what that means. So let's dive into all things Isaksen Solar.
Yeah.
Tell me about your role as the business development manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a builder. So tell me about Isaksen Solar.
So I think a big thing for us is we're founded on trying to be the non-stereotypical solar company. So we don't canvass neighborhoods. We don't knock on doors. The only time we knock on a door is if you ask us to, if you invite us to your home and you want us to, meet with you. So a big thing for us is just making sure that the consumer is educated, and whether it's the homeowner or the builder, architect, whoever we're dealing with is educated properly. We just want to be a resource, whether we're used or not. Obviously, it would be great if they used us for their installation. But we just want to make sure that things are told to them honestly. There are some things that can be done in the industry to make things appear that they're going to be well, or it's going to be a good home for solar or a good property for solar, and it may not be. Yeah. So we don't want to do those things. So just making sure that we're there as soon in the design process as possible as well, because if solar is an afterthought, it's going to be a lot more visible. You're going to have conduit running in places that you don't want conduit run.
We're going to have on that, though. We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
So before we get there, so tell me about who Isaksen Solar is,
Mm-hmm.
How long they've been around, crews, area service, kind of give me that rundown.
Yeah. So the company was started about 8 years ago, a little over 8 years ago. The two owners, Ryan and Brad, worked together for Solar City before Solar City was bought by Tesla. Then they worked for Tesla for a while. And then they got to a point where they said, hey, you know what? We really want to be able to really hone in on the local community. We want to use as much American-made products as we can, and we want to be in control of things. So they decided to start a company. And then Growth, I want to say probably since its inception. I think we only had, when I came on at about 5 years ago, we had one operations person, 3 salespeople, 1 install crew. Now we're up to 6 install crews. We have 9, I think, and 8 in our operations department and 9 in our sales team. And we don't like to call them salespeople. We'll call them project managers. When somebody says salespeople, they, that kind of, they run away. But the
Design consultant.
there you go. Yeah, exactly.
Sounds sexy.
Yeah, yeah. But the company is, tremendous.
Sending my design consultant.
Definitely sounds a little bit
La la.
I like it. Maybe we'll switch the business cards to design.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Make sure you give me a little asterisk down the bottom, powered by BuildX.
I like it. We'll work on that.
All right, we'll work that out.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now let's take some real life scenarios.
Yeah.
So I'm a builder,
Mhm.
and I'd like to build an ADU.
Yeah.
So obviously that's a lot of what I talk about.
Mhm.
So the customer says to me, "We really want this to have solar panels. So what should I do? What's my next step?"
Call Chris Johnson.
Okay.
That would be the first. That would be the next first step.
Chris, I have this ADU. It's going to pick. I have an ADU in Kingston, and they'd like it to be solar, have solar panels on the roof. So now what happens? What do we do next?
We immediately have you send us the design and the plot plan. A lot of the sooner we can get into the design process, the better, especially when you're talking about the sun. The sun has a specific path that it takes. So if you want to maximize your sun exposure, you want to make sure that it's in that path.
Okay.
So
So that may require me to adjust the orientation of so at some point, if turning the ADU 15 or 20 degrees on the lot is going to increase my solar coverage, that's a conversation we want to have early, obviously.
absolutely.
Because we don't want to put it in the ground and then call you up and say we want to have solar, and you're like, gee, if you'd turned it this way, it would have been 20 times better.
Yep. Exactly.
So when you are thinking about solar, the first thing then is what's the orientation of the roof? And then I'm assuming the next thing is what's the pitch of the roof, and then what's the size of the roof?
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, the larger the roof, the more space that you'll have. I'm not sure if you've dealt with it yet, but we have fire code setbacks that we need to abide by, which were just, I want to say within the past year and a half, those have become an issue that we've had to deal with.
Yeah. So we have to stay, 3 feet back from the edges?
3 feet from the edges, 18 inches from the ridge. And then if there's more than, I think, 33% of solar on the roof, the entire roof, then we have to actually have 36 inches from each side.
So bottom, top, and sides.
Right.
So that chews up a lot of real estate.
It does. Yep.
That's interesting. So again, if we're going solar and we want to maximize solar and maybe try to work towards a net zero house, we may have to change the roof line and the design or the layout or the orientation or all of the above to make that maximum solar work.
Yeah.
So now fast forward. So I send you the house plan. I send you the plot plan. I show it says the orientation to the sun. Now what happens?
So then we send it to one of our design consultants, right? Courtesy of BuildX. And then when they do the review, they basically,
We're changing lives right here, live.
absolutely, I like it. So once they go through, they essentially create a heat map. So they'll be able to see where the best spots are for solar based on the trees in the area. So you may have to make some adjustments on trees.
We may have got a few extra trees down.
Yeah, but we always want people to plant new ones, just not make sure ones that won't grow as high, because we want to save the planet, right? But once they create that, then they'll be able to see how many they'll be able to fit reasonably, and then also see how much power it's potentially going to be able to produce and what the offset would be on either the existing home or just the ADU, whatever they decide.
Yeah, so I'm just going to focus on the ADU.
Yeah.
Because obviously we have more design flexibility because it's not on the ground yet.
Mm-hmm.
So then that person the design consultant may come back to me and say, I know you have it at this orientation, but if you put it this orientation, it's going to be 50% better.
Yeah.
And here's why. correct? I'm going to get that feedback early.
Absolutely.
What's that lag time from when I send it to when I get it back?
I want to say on average, probably 3 days.
Okay,
5
so
days.
within a week,
Yeah.
I'm going to know, quote unquote, know what my optimum orientation is.
Yeah. And I gave my team.
And generally, there must be some free software or something that I can just plug that in originally to get a baseline. I mean, I haven't played around, but I'm assuming,
Yeah, I think Google Earth has some type of software you can plug.
good old chat GDP.
Yeah.
Right. And say, which way should I orientate my house?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's interesting. So that's really, that could drive a lot of the conversation of the design, the roof and the orientation. And then, of course, we have to put all that together and make sure it fits from a zoning standpoint and obviously from an architectural beauty standpoint.
Yeah.
And that person will, let's pretend he's, that he or she says it has to be turned this way. And I say, well, no, we can't. We have to go this way. They're going to tell us what that degradation is of that need, if you will, the necessity.
Yeah. And the less steep the pitch of the roof, there's potential to have the sun catch from the other side as well.
So steeper isn't always better.
Yeah. Exactly.
What's the optimal roof pitch? That's a good. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, on average, about between 30 and 36 degrees.
Okay, so going up as about an 8 pitch.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never really thought about that. So really, if you had a flat or a very low pitch roof, it probably can be turned almost anyway.
Yeah, the benefit of a lot of people think that the south facing roof is optimal for solar,
right?
Which it is technically because that's where the majority of the sun goes. But when you think about how much power you want to produce, you're just limited to that one side. Right. So if you have it east-west and the pitch isn't as steep, then you could potentially catch sun on both sides and get maybe 80% sun on both sides versus 99 on that small.
Yeah, so there's a dance that goes on early,
exactly,
in that design.
Yeah. Yep.
And then obviously, if you have an existing house, you get what you get, and you don't get upset.
Yeah. Try not to anyway.
Yeah. So when the design, just switching gears, when the design consultant's going out to a consultation on a new structure that already exists, existing structure, new client.
Yeah.
Are they going there with these calculations already completed so they can have that discussion live with the homeowner?
It really depends on how busy they are. A lot of times they like to do it right in front of the individual.
So this is something they can do on their laptop.
Yeah. Yep, we have software, and some people say, "Oh, you're using Google Earth. The image was, 4 years ago or whatever it is." Our software, I've seen them as recent as like 3 days prior.
So you're using the aerial flyovers.
Yeah, so we get
his body service. Yeah,
because things change so much with construction.
100%. Yeah, I have
things like
I have a newer software we're using now for doing virtual lot layouts, and some of the flyouts. I was looking at the one for my house, and you could see my current truck, which I've only had for 6 months.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting. Absolutely, and definitely the quality is improving all the time on the images. So now I've had my initial consultation. We've agreed on the optimal orientation. Let's pretend that it all works the way we want it to work, zoning and aesthetically and all the other things that go into that. Now what happens?
So now it's kind of crunch time as far as deciding if it's something that they want to move forward on. A lot of people think
when do I get the numbers? So
right then and there, while we're meeting, when we're sitting down, we do the design. They can work out the numbers.
When I'm the builder, are you going to sit down with me? Or are you just going to email it to me? We're having a Zoom meeting. What are we doing?
Generally, whatever is more convenient for you.
Okay, so we can do this by Zoom.
Absolutely.
And your design consultant can say to me, "Hey, this is how many panels can fit. Here's how much wattage you're going to create, and here's the price."
Yeah.
Now, am I paying for it and then I'm getting a loan? What am I doing?
So it depends on what the builder wants to do. So sometimes the builder will work it into their individual project. Sometimes they'll pass it off to the homeowner, and the homeowner will deal with it on their own.
Okay, so I have an opportunity there to say to the homeowner, I met with Isaksen Solar. This is their package. Here's the quote. You go with them direct. I'll work with them on the install.
Yeah.
Because it's better for you to go direct because of tax credits or whatever's going on. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. And once we've decided to move forward, then what happens?
So then you're not, even though you decide that you want to move forward, doesn't necessarily mean that the project's going to move forward, because you're not in full control. So the utility company is actually the one that decides whether or not you can go solar.
Really?
Yeah, they have it's a power trip, I call it, because it's the power company. So
Little play on words.
yeah, a little bit. They got some power control issues.
So obviously there's towns where it doesn't work.
So it's more the transformers that are on the street. They may not be able to handle, because essentially any power that you're producing that you're not using has to go back. So if the transformers can't handle that excess power going back, then they say, hey, it's nice that you want solar, but you're going to have to pay for a transformer upgrade ranging anywhere from $8,000 to $20,000, which most homeowners are not going to want to do. Then that decision, will be made at that point in time. It doesn't happen too often.
Yeah.
But the longer time goes on,
so how long before I know that I'm going to be approved by Eversource or whoever?
The approvals will come through probably in about 4 to 6 weeks.
So quite a while.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I've decided I want to spend X on my solar, and now I have to wait for the utility company to say, give their blessing.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you handle all this part of it.
Absolutely.
So then let's pretend that we got the blessing. Now what happens?
So we still have to go, while that's happening, we're also applying for our building permits.
Yeah.
So those have to get approved as well. And then once all the approvals come in, then you can get on our schedule. It's on average about 3 to 4 months from the point that you apply to the point you can get installed.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So quite a while. Interesting. And so now we have our approvals. Now we're on the schedule. Now what happens? And let's pretend it's a new build ADU. Are you directing me where I need to have a conduit coming up out of the roof, or what happens there?
Yeah, so it's really up to the builder. Some builders that we work with, they like to handle the electrical on their own as far as the pre-running of conduit. If it's something that they want us to come and do ourselves, we can. But clearly we want to run some, pre-run some conduit before the walls go up.
Sure.
So once the house is once the building's watertight, then we can get in there, pre-run conduit from the attic to from the basement to the attic, and we want to make sure it's stubbed above the insulation.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah. Tried and true. We've, not necessarily us in particular.
Yeah.
There's been some horror stories where things have been stubbed and then the insulation goes in. It's like, hey, where was
that spray foamed over or other things?
Yeah.
Now, so where do the batteries come into this conversation?
Generally in the garage. No, I'm just kidding. So they come in right away when you're doing the design of the system.
Well, so we always doing batteries? Do we have to do batteries?
It's not mandatory. It's up to the homeowner if they want to do it. And one thing that you want to think about, especially with an ADU, is if the existing home has a generator, if that generator capacity is already in a position to compensate for the ADU. If not, then you may want to consider a battery to help offset some of that.
Okay. So in an ADU, can the battery go outside?
So a lot of times you'll see battery images with the battery outside. Those are predominantly taken in California, Hawaii, Florida, nice weather places.
Right.
Here in New England, it's not a great place to have it outside. If the customer insists, we'll do it, but we'll let them know. Essentially, the longer it's exposed to colder elements,
you're going to lose power.
You're going to lose, it's just not going to be as productive, and it'll lessen how long the battery life will be.
So we'll degrade the battery over time.
Yes.
Now, the battery can't go in the living space though, right?
So it can't share a wall with a living space. So you want to put it into, generally it goes into an attached or detached garage, and it will go on the outside wall of the garage.
Okay, so it can't be in the living space, and I can't mount it against the outside wall that's next to the living space.
Exactly.
So if we weren't building a garage, we'd have to have some type of mudroom that would be big enough for the battery to sit on an outside wall away from the house.
Correct.
And generally that would need 3 feet in front of that, just like an electrical panel.
Yes, correct. And sometimes it will have to have its own enclosure room. Really just depends on the amount of battery, size of space, ventilation, so on and so forth.
Now, how am I paying for this? So now we've decided we're going to move forward and we've worked out the design. How am I paying for this battery? Is there financing? Do I take a loan? Does this company finance? How does that all work?
We prefer cash. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, don't we all?
Cash is king.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the solar or batteries, there are loans available. The solar itself, there are no, Mass Save used to have like 0% interest loans and stuff like that. They don't have those anymore for the solar. They did when I had just first started with the company a few years ago, but those are gone, unfortunately. They do still have them for the batteries though. So if somebody wanted to do a battery or multiple batteries, they can get, I think it's up to $25,000 at a 0% interest loan for the batteries, which is great.
For the battery only, not for the panels.
Yes.
But the panels can get financed under regular financing.
Yeah, a lot of people
build.
A lot of people do it through the build, or if they have an existing home equity line or something like that, or we have loans available if they want to use us as well.
And I'm assuming you give us some type of calculation that says if electricity stays at this rate, this is how long it's going to pay back. Because you just invested $30,000. It's going to take this amount of time to get even, and then after that, it's all gravy.
Exactly.
Okay. And what was I going to ask you? So what about? So now it's in. We've paid for it. It's on the roof. It's working. And 2 years from now, we need something, we're getting it. Is it do I have an app? Is it telling me what's going on? How do I know what's working?
Yeah. So we have a conveniently called Isaksen Solar app that we
Imagine that.
I know.
Worked out.
Yeah. So essentially what the app does is you can track it in real time. You'll see what your system is using. What if it's, producing power that you're not using, it'll show that it's going off to the grid. If your battery needs power and you have have batteries connected, it's going to show you sending some of that power to the batteries.
Okay.
To fill up. And then essentially the best time that I always tell people it's like watching the stock exchange. Don't do that. Right. So if you're obsessing and you're constantly looking at the app on like rainy days, not a good idea. You have to look at the big picture.
Yeah, average.
Because you're going to have really sunny days that are going to be great, and you're going to have some rainy days that aren't going to be so great.
Yeah.
So it's something that you want to focus on the big picture on, like you said.
Yeah. So now it's 5 years in, and I get a notification on my app saying I'm down 20%, and so now I call you up. What happens?
So in that particular example, a lot of times people will say they'll get an electric bill when they haven't for a while. And they think it's the system. It's not necessarily. What happens sometimes is people will add things on that will cause them to use more power, but not realize
jacuzzi or whatever.
Jacuzzi, EV charger, even those little space heaters.
Yeah.
That you'll stick in, they use a ton of power.
Oh, yeah, the girls at the office love those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So So it's just one of those situations where when you think about maintenance for this kind of thing, there's no moving parts. Everything's just sitting there. So it's not like there's
that's the question. Do you
wear it out.
So my question has always been, should I get up there once a year and clean the glass?
No. In New England especially, we recommend that you just let nature take its course and do its thing. The rain will come, it'll wash off. Because
when all the pollen and all that crap in the spring.
So when you think about it, if you damage it, say if it's as simple as you're using a squeegee and the squeegee has a little tiny pebble in it and you scratch it, that's going to void the warranty on the panel. So you don't want to risk
no touchy.
I would say no.
Yeah. It's a good thing I don't have solar.
Yeah. For now,
because I'd be up there fiddling around with it. All right. So now, what if it's legitimate warranty? How long is my warranty? How does that work? Do you fix it if it breaks? Tell me what happens.
Yeah. So we have a 10-year workmanship warranty, and then we have a 25-year manufacturer warranty. So like I said, there's not much that goes wrong from a warranty and from a mechanical perspective. The brains of the system actually only has a 15-year warranty, I think, but we actually give you an extended warranty to match the 25 for the system because that's going to die out probably in year 12 to 15. But other than that, there isn't much maintenance involved, and the warranties are there to protect you.
Okay. So let's talk about the controversy of solar.
What? There is no controversy. What are you talking about?
Of course there's controversy. So Solar panels are made from digging in the ground and mining materials and running through a furnace that's powered by some type of fossil fuel. And all the aluminum you use is dug out of the ground and powered by fossil fuel. And all those things going shipped is powered by fossil fuel. They get shipped around, trucked around, and eventually show up on the job site and get bolted to my roof. So when does it actually become, environmentally friendly? What's the real story behind solar?
So you're probably talking to the wrong guy for this question. But when
customers have to ask you this,
since I'm not in sales anymore, that's why I got in sales. Get out of sales. They don't have to answer questions like these.
Well, you're on the hot seat now, so I got to come up with something.
Do you have like a heat thing on this?
No. Yeah, turn off the heat on the seat.
Yeah. No, when the way we look at it is looking at long-term effects. So when you think about solar and where it gets its energy from, whereas where all the fossil fuels are actually producing energy, it seems to far outweigh when you're dealing with gas.
So you don't have a calculation that says you did all this stuff. We know financially it's going to break even at year, whatever, 6. But from an environmental standpoint, it's probably 12 years before it really becomes neutral.
Potentially, I don't.
Yeah, again, there's no calculation that says it.
And I'm not the guy to ask. I was in senior year.
I understand, but I would suggest to you that full transparency, you guys should know that answer.
Yeah.
I had that same question about electric cars. Right? So we did all that. We mined all that battery. We dug all those trees. We busted everything up. We moved that stuff around. We smelted it. We did all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then we still have to make electricity somewhere. Maybe solar, maybe some wind.
Yep.
My argument is probably like 150,000 miles before that thing is actually saving the environment. But I could be wrong. And I've been wrong before, but I was mistaken about that.
Yeah. I'm leaving it alone.
I don't blame you. So that's interesting. I think that would be a good social media post for you. To delve right into that, because inquiring minds want to know. If I'm thinking it, there's a bunch of other knuckleheads that are thinking it. I guarantee you.
We have our in-house content coordinator.
You're the director of marketing. We need the director of marketing to spearhead this initiative.
Okay.
We'll have you back on for a spotlight to talk about your findings.
I'll bring a fire extinguisher for my seat.
So, in all things, setting all that aside, and all those things, what is the downside to solar systems? Everything has a plus, everything has a minus. So I sell my house, and I've taken a loan. Is the loan always with the property, or sometimes the loan is just on the panels?
So a loan is always on the property if you're buying the system. If you're leasing the system, or what we would call the power purchase agreement, or a PPA, then that's something that is just on the panels themselves.
Okay, so if I took a loan on the house and paid for my system, then it's my system, and when I sell the house, it just goes with the house, and the loan gets paid off.
Yep.
If I leased the panels or a power purchase agreement, I like that power purchase agreement. It's got a nice ring to it. Yeah. What happens then? I've had my house for 6 years. I'm assuming this agreement is much more longer than 6 years.
Yeah.
And how do I deal with that? How does that work?
Call Chris Jones.
And what does he tell me?
So the biggest thing is the close. You don't want to do something closer to the closing date.
Yeah. So as soon as I'm getting ready to put an house on the market, I need to call and say, how do I transfer this? Or does it ever get paid off, or does it get transferred? What happens?
So it really depends on the agreement between the buyer and seller. A lot of times it'll just get transferred over to the new homeowners, and they'll take it over.
So it can be transferred.
Yes. Yep. And it can also, depending on how many years it's been in effect, it could also be, sold, not sold. It could be bought.
Yeah. So there's only a little bit left on it. They might say, hey, it's $5,000 to buy us out and be done with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
So how long has solar panels been being installed on residential properties? Like popular, long time, not early adopters.
I want to say probably mid-70s.
So a long time. So we kind of know, on quote unquote, know the life cycle and the pitfalls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually just passed some on the way here, but you have some on the house that are like tilted up
Yeah.
PVC piping
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the old water heater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, a million years ago, I used to help a guy install those when I was just out of high school.
You look great for a million.
I don't, I don't look a day over 100. So that's interesting. So how do we, quote unquote, know that this makes sense for me? So how do you, besides that, let's pretend for a minute that I'm on the fence. I like solar, but I'm not I'm not part of the religion, and I want to get it done. But how do you prove to me this makes sense to me?
I hate to do it again, but call Chris Johnson. But in all honesty, we always encourage people to get at least 3 quotes because it helps keep everybody honest. We want to be included because we pride ourselves on doing what's right by the customer and not necessarily by.
So you want me to entertain 2 other reputable contractors to see why your deal is a better deal overall?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we, I want to say probably.
So doesn't that kill your one-stop close?
We're not a big fan of the one-stop close.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. For us, we're at the end. We're like, hey, we'll send you the information.
This is a consultation.
Yeah.
From the design consultant.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely need to rename them.
Yeah.
So the design consultant is there to guide me on my journey. He comes and meets with me. He or she comes and meets with me. And then we start, and then obviously I'm in the process of meeting with other vendors, if any.
Mm-hmm.
And then this person's going to come back to me and say, so when you meet with that person on the first meeting, let's say you're first,
yeah,
and no one else has been there yet, do you advise them to get other prices?
And it really did. Obviously, being.
I mean, if they're ready to buy, you're going to sell it.
Yeah,
don't
design consultants then turn into salespeople.
No, don't. I can't take a check. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
at a certain point, we'll know whether or not it's something they want to move forward on.
Okay.
When I was in sales, I was dealing with people.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So, how many people come in, and how many people do you work with versus how many buy?
So let's see. I want to say probably about 35 to 40%.
Really? So it's a good amount. So if someone's interested in solar, 30 to 40% of them are going to move forward with somebody.
Yeah. Let's go more 30.
Okay. So 30% is going to move forward with somebody.
Yeah.
That's a pretty high number.
Yeah. And one thing that we pride ourselves on is once we have somebody sign up with us, we will close probably about 90% from the point they sign up to actually get installed. A lot of the companies,
there's some deals fall apart from utilities or whatever.
Yeah, things like that. And a lot happens when you have companies that are doing the canvassing neighborhoods. People feel kind of pressured. They'll sign something, but they end up, canceling or backing out.
Okay. Yeah.
So their close rates are probably closer to 25 to.
Yeah. So that's why you stop the one-stop close to cut down on the cancellations.
Yeah. I wouldn't say stop. We don't want to do that. Our design consultants have, mouths to feed.
So I understand. I wouldn't say stop either. So you've designed it so that it's a customer facing process, so that you're keeping them informed the entire way.
Absolutely.
No, that's good. Now, obviously, I've had to take off solar panels before because of roof damage, tree strikes, fires, etc. So how does that work with Isaksen Solar? Because I know we just had one maybe a year ago. That my daughter's company, they had solar panels, and I think it took Tesla, I want to say it was 3 months to show up to take the panels down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how does it work with you guys? Do I call you up and you say it's X amount of dollars and we'll be there in 3 weeks, or what happens?
Yeah. So obviously it depends on how tight our schedule is. Obviously, right now everybody's trying to get solar before the end of the year. But you contact us, we'll let you know what the estimate is. Sometimes right there on the phone, sometimes we'll have to get back to you in a couple of days. And then we have a dedicated service crew that would most likely handle that. So it may be, sooner than having an install crew call.
Oh,
But it depends on the size of the system as well, too.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
if it's a significant size, then we need more manpower for it. But we are able to pull off the system, keep it on site, put it on pallets, protect it, and then put it back once the roof has been remodeled.
So it stays on site.
Yeah. If there's room.
Yeah, understood.
If for some reason they can't.
Now, so here's another one that I've seen a lot. What about you show up and the roof is due for a roof?
Yeah.
Roofing, new roofing.
Mm-hmm.
Now what do you do? And they want to do solar.
Yeah. So we can coordinate the roof through us, or we we always tell them you can use whoever you want. We want to make sure that they're insured. And they're, they have the liability insurance and workman's comp, and, that just not Uncle Joe working out of his truck.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to that, that's actually an optimal time to go solar when you need a new roof.
Yeah, 100%. Because that's going to, now the roof's going to be done and you're good for another 30 years.
Yeah. Some people are like, oh, I just did a new roof. I don't want to mess with it. Like, well, it's actually the great time to do it.
Yeah.
You don't want to wait till.
So let's talk about that. What kind of attachment system do you use now to the roof?
Yeah. So the attachments that we used to use would slide under the shingles.
Yeah.
We'd have to pry them. We don't use those anymore because, as you know, a lot of the shingles now, they adhere to each other, and it's not really easy to pry up. So they're called hugs, actually. And they have a sticky element to them. And then they screw in place as well. But they're not, huge lag bolts or any more that.
So you're screwing right through the roofing.
Yeah.
And this has rubber on the back of it to make that seal.
Exactly. And then when people say, oh, I don't want.
And are you trying to hit the rafters when you're doing this?
Not with those new types. You don't need to.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The old type that used to pry had to go straight into the rafters.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. But some people are like, oh, I don't want to put holes in our roof. And then I'm thinking, well, how many nail holes do you have in your roof?
I honestly, even being in the business, I'm like,
Yeah.
So let's talk about another controversial subject.
Oh, fantastic.
Battery fires.
Yep.
Tell me about it.
Haven't had one yet. So,
okay.
No.
Knock on plastic?
Yeah. I personally not.
Real wood?
No. Not really. So I have 2 batteries in my house. They're in a detached garage.
Yeah.
That was, obviously in my headspace before I had them installed. But knowing the safety precautions that a homeowner would take as far as clearance, things like that, and the amount of effort that was put into the design of them is a very rare occurrence. When you look at, usually when stuff pops up either on social media or in the news, it's not every week or every month. It's few and far between. So when it comes to fires, it's really about.
I've been to some battery fires.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Absolutely.
They're pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So you feel like the chances are pretty low.
I do. Yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't have installed them on my house.
Understood. Now, you mentioned something earlier about trying to get as much American-made components as you can. Mm-hmm. So tell me about that journey and what that looks like.
So because they worked for the larger companies, that their headspace was just really about saving money. For Brad and Ryan, when they started Isaksen Solar, they really wanted to get as much humanly possible that was American made, because that was important to them, from a larger picture perspective.
Yeah, no, I respect that.
So they did their due diligence and did a tremendous amount of research, to even down to screws, whatever they could. Obviously, things like, when COVID happened, there were some things. Yeah. It's not necessarily the product that we're using.
It's always evolving.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not necessarily.
But it's a mission statement.
Yeah.
And okay, that's good.
Yeah.
It's not for people to know.
Yeah. And the products that we're using, it's not necessarily that exact product, but it may be a component in that product that isn't made in the U.S. That's causing the delays.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. And then, so what is a typical system cost, and what is a typical payback? And I know all things are created equal, but just globally, what are you seeing for typical cost and typical payback period?
Yeah. So it really depends on the size of the system and how much power the home needs. Yeah. I've seen some really small homes that are all electric and use a ton of power. And then I've seen some large homes that don't use that much electricity. Right. So it really depends on family size and, if they're using gas or propane or something else to supplement it. I want to say on average, probably around 40,000 for, a basic home. And then you're probably looking at around 8 or 9 year ROI. It really depends on how good the house is for solar too. If we can,
orientation and all the other things we talked about.
These different roof pitches or, trees, all that stuff plays into your.
But that all becomes evident in that design consultation.
Exactly. Yep.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. And that getting it narrowed down to that ROI, looking back to the sales that I made 3, 4, 5 years ago, it's really cool to actually see what I told them was actually happening. Because when you think about the sun, it's unpredictable. But when you look at the usage and the production year over year, it actually fits into that.
Hey, I see that it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Now we're in the rapid fire segment.
Oh, boy.
Favorite tool you can't live without?
Sadly, my phone. In particular, right now, ChatGPT has been a great friend and just helping guide things. I don't use it to create a lot, but just to find immediate answers, and obviously it's learning.
Yeah.
But it's definitely valuable right now.
All right. So industry trends you are noticing?
Something we didn't talk about is a solar roof. So we do
roofing shingles that are the solar panels themselves.
Yeah. So
where are we at on those? That's a good point.
Yeah. So we're a certified Tesla solar roof installer.
So it's already a thing.
It's already a thing.
Okay.
We have a number in the area that are actively active, I guess. And
so you've installed.
Yeah.
You've installed that are working.
Yep. And
you do the whole roof, even no matter which way it's facing.
So you don't necessarily have to do the whole roof, depending on the simplicity of the design.
Okay.
So you could potentially do. So we had a house in Truro that did just the south-facing front, the Tesla solar roof, and then they did asphalt shingles in the back to save on money. But you can essentially do the whole roof if you wanted to.
Okay.
And there's active and inactive tiles. Essentially anything that in the center that doesn't have to be cut is active tiles that are producing power, but once you get closer to the edge, those will have to be cut. So then it switches to inactive. But depending on how the sun hits them, you won't necessarily be able to tell the difference between the two. They're about 15% less efficient than traditional panels, but you can also fit about 15 to 20% more.
Sure, because you don't have to stay back from the edges and all that other stuff.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Dream project you'd love to work on?
Dream project.
Can be unsolar related.
Yeah. Going on vacation would be great. That doesn't happen very often in my life.
No?
Being able to get away and unplug. But like I said, becoming the director of business development, that was basically creating my dream job.
All right. So we got to set a new dream now.
Sounds good to me.
Best piece of advice you've ever received?
Best piece of advice I've ever received. Let's see. I think the old adage, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. For me, my business philosophy and my personal philosophy is I'm not there. Even when I was in sales, I'm like, I'm not here to sell you something. I'm here to educate you. So for me, it's not about making a buck. Even when I sold insurance, I didn't wear a suit and tie. I wore roll up, roll up sleeves. And I was just there to educate. And when people know that you're generally interested in them and care about them, I forgot what the question was, but when you're generally interested in them and care about them, they lend themselves to trust you and want to do business with you. So that hopefully answers the question.
I did. It's best piece of advice you've ever received.
There you
go. Advice you would give your younger self?
Oh man, there's a lot.
Well, we have lots of. We get lots of digital stories, so
that's
you get cut off at 2:30, but other than that, keep going.
Yeah, go on vacation more, but I would be
all right. That's a good one.
Yeah, but also, I think not regretting anything in the fact that everything that you go through in life brings you to where you are now.
Yeah,
and so even the bad things that happen, you learn from them, and other people will learn from them. Yep. So there's no such thing as something that's gonna
As long as you can keep going, you can learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Favorite food and dessert?
Oh, I'm a big foodie. I have an Instagram page dedicated to food I make and pictures I take.
Oh, really?
So being in the restaurant business.
Okay.
So favorite food, I want to say I love a really good steak. So steak, mashed potatoes, asparagus, and then what was the other?
Dessert.
Probably tiramisu. Tiramisu's
Any particular one?
like a particular tiramisu.
Yeah, like one that you go to get or one that you make.
I don't make it too hard. I like eating things that other people make. 'Cause when you're making something, you kind of loses something when you have to put all that work in.
Yeah.
So generally, if somebody else makes it for me,
Okay.
I'm happy.
If you could have dinner with anyone alive or dead, who would it be?
Probably at this moment, probably you, to convince you that how solar great is, how bright. Now let's do that again. I want to convince you how great solar is. So let's have dinner and have a discussion. How about that?
It's going to be a long dinner.
Yeah,
That's going to be a tough sell.
that's right. Brad will buy. So
Yeah, you might want to bring reinforcements.
Okay.
Final question. If you had $10 million to donate, who or whom would you donate it to?
Oh man, there's a lot of answers to this one. I'd probably diversify. I don't think I would have it in just one. There's so many different organizations.
Yeah, understood. All right, that's a wrap for today's episode of the BuildX podcast. Thanks for Chris Johnson for joining us. Please subscribe, like, and share if you've enjoyed it. See you next week. And remember, just build, baby.